means family, and you are now part of our Hannah.
Is this the Miles Apart podcast? I've taken a leap from the YouTubing world and gone into the podcasting world with my girlfriend, Amira. Amira, say hi.
Hi.
All right, so let's introduce ourselves. Stop laughing. It's our
Okay,
first time
sorry.
on show. All right, so my name's Cledwyn. I am a fifth year mechanical engineering
I
student.
thought you were going to say I'm a 15-year-old.
No, I'm a fifth year mechanical engineering student. And yeah, there's not much there's not much else to say, is there? I love playing COD.
Ew.
I love what else I love? I love badminton, right?
Badminton.
I love going on drives. I love driving. What
Remember
else?
when you used to
I
hate
love Formula
driving?
One. I love Formula One. Oh, yes, I love Formula One. And yeah, that's it. Amira, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Amira, and that's all you need to know about me.
No, what do you do? What do you do? What's your occupation?
Um,
You finished uni now. You're not a student anymore.
okay, rub it in. Yeah, so I'm at the end of my training year. I'm a pre-registration pharmacist.
Okay. Anything else that you love to do in your spare?
Um, you know, I feel like I'm in a job interview. I can't do this.
You can.
Hello, my name is
Okay, just bro, just chill, right? So we're
bro,
yeah, just chill, chill, chill. So
bro.
just oh God, don't wanna start an argument already. Okay, we had the podcast hasn't even started. It's gonna end. It's gonna end before it even started. Okay, so let's just explain why we're called the Miles Apart podcast, right?
Was that?
So
Oh, is that honestly the explanation of ourselves that we're going with? Is that
yeah,
how we introduce
there's
each other?
there's not much there's not much
Not much in our life.
there's not much interesting, is there? The main reason is me and Amira met each other when we were at university. We went to Robert Gordon's, and I think we were together for about a year or so before I actually went away to Huddersfield, didn't it? It was about a year.
No, no. So, wow. So let me just take the reins of this conversation. We knew each other for less than a year, but we were actually together for about 3 months before you went to Huddersfield.
Nice. I just decided to piss off. So yeah, I went down to Huddersfield mainly because I had like a year placement at a company
Mainly
called
because you wanted to get away from me.
pretty much as soon as I got into a relationship with you. So yeah, I went to Huddersfield for a year out. Worked at Cummins Turbo Technologies, where I designed some turbos, and then I came back to Aberdeen. Um, and then
The
we were
same year that
together.
I left.
Yeah, exactly. We were together probably for about a few weeks or so, right? Or months.
Hmm.
We were together. I don't know. But yeah, we were together for a few weeks or so, and then you went back to Glasgow because you had finished uni.
Hmm.
And then we were miles apart again, right? So we were already miles apart when we were in Huddersfield, and then as soon as I came back, we're miles apart again when
Yeah.
you went back to Glasgow and I was back in Aberdeen. So
Hmm.
we've always been miles apart. We've had our long distance relationship for over 2 years now.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that was the main reason we called it the Miles Apart podcast. So um, yeah, do you like the name?
It's okay.
All right, we'll stick with it. We'll stick with it, right? I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I
I'm
mean,
sure
you're
there's
the one doing the editing, so I don't really have much of a.
exactly. I'm sure there's like loads of people in the same situation as us, doing a long distance relationship and so on.
I
So we
think
can.
there is, by the way, and I never used to think that there were.
There's so many, man. There's so many. Most of my friends like do it long distance. There was one of my
Mm.
friends who was in Hong Kong while one was in Luton.
Okay, not quite as glamorous.
Exotic. But yeah, we've. I think everyone's doing it. Like most people anyway, are doing long distance relationships or have had a long distance relationship. So we can speak about some of our struggles and some of the difficult situations in our life and our relationship. I think that would be a good conversations.
All the struggles of our relationships.
Yeah, nah, like I'm talking about the deeper stuff. I think it would be good to like help people who are in a similar situation as us,
Mm.
to help them out and how we get along. I know it's only been 2 years, but I think we made progress. There's been loads of like ups and downs in our relationships and stuff, and we can speak about the ups, some of the difficult times, right? And
Mm-hmm.
also we'll go probably through the harder stuff of you being a Muslim and me being a Catholic, and how we can still manage to keep a relationship going and
Keep it fresh and spicy.
exactly. So I think it'll be proper deep at some points, but we'll start to like have a few jokes and stuff in there as well. Do you know what I mean? Like we can speak about some of the like the like the stuff that's going on in the world. We might have a category in it where it's like looking at funny stuff that's going around. Um,
Mm-hmm.
on social media and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just keep it fun, keep it happy, and people can tune in and listen to our lives. And yeah, if you want to,
That sounds quite scary.
it is, isn't it? I think it is very scary to just put yourself out there, but we'll see how it does. We'll see how it goes and how people perceive it. But yeah, let's get started, right?
Okay, so what's today's topic?
Well, we've spoken about ourselves. We've introduced the podcast, right? We've told our audience what we're gonna be speaking about, right? Of what our podcast is about.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, you're right. Like, what is today's topic, right? Obviously, with the like news and stuff at the moment is very heavily on the Black Lives Matter protest, and um, we are
The Black
also
Lives Matter movement, I would say.
yeah movement, yeah, and we've spoken about this before, and we know our sides. We're very passionate about the movement, and we understand what it stands for, and especially like how we perceive it and how I don't understand how other people can't perceive it the same way. Do you know what I mean? I think that's
Mm.
that's the thing I've been struggling to understand is that we're asking for equality. We're asking for black people not to be murdered just because of the color of their skin and the oppression that has been going on for so many years. And for our community and for our society to, why can it not just understand that things are going on and that we just need to fix them? Do you not think?
Mm-hmm. I think I think it's an issue that has been around for so long that it's just quite a deep rooted issue that goes back quite
Yeah.
far back. So I don't think that there's going to be a very straightforward or simple
No.
solution to it. But I think things like the protests, both like the protests on the street and also I suppose you could say the protests like that people are putting up on social media by raising awareness and sort of
Yeah.
spreading things and spreading
Even though some people feel as though putting a social media post won't make a difference, trust me, it will make all the difference. You have friends on your social media that might not be for this
hopefully.
movement. Yeah, hopefully. But hopefully, like, they might not be for this movement initially. But if they see that you're so passionate about something and that you stand for something so much, I feel as though people will come round. Another thing I wanted to speak about, right,
Mm-hmm.
is I think we need to go through the whole thing. We need to go through it all and speak about how it started, right? And kind of like a timeline of from when that incident happened with George Floyd to now
Okay.
to now. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna
Do you have
start.
a timeline?
Yeah, we're gonna start through that. So,
Okay.
um, let me get the date actually exactly when it
I was
happened.
gonna say, yeah.
George Floyd death date. Okay, so let me get that up. So George Floyd died on the 25th of May 2020, and the current date today that we're filming this podcast is the 7th of June 2020. So it's been well over 2 weeks since his death.
And you know what? It doesn't feel like 2 weeks.
It doesn't
It
feel like two
feels like the
weeks.
actual stuff on social media, the protests. it feels like it's just happening
It's
now.
so fresh, isn't it? It's so fresh.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of lose sight of that sometimes.
Mhm.
W- Now
So,
let's
what
go
happened to George Floyd?
exactly. Let's go through the whole story just so because there's some viewers out there that are probably watching this and they haven't heard about the story. So let's just go through it. Let's go through the ins and outs of people saying, "Oh yeah, but you didn't hear the other side to this." Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So let's go through that. So George Floyd was in a like a shopping center, like a just a supermarket, right? It was like a corner shop,
Mhm.
I think.
Mhm.
And he bought some items, and he went to give a $20 note to the person on the counter, right?
Mhm.
They normally check the notes and so on. So she did her job. She checked the note, and it came back to be fake, right?
Mhm.
And the normal protocol is that the person on the counter phones the police, right? They come over.
And is that actually the normal protocol in
That
America?
that is the normal protocol. I think that's the normal protocol everywhere because they want to stop fake money coming in, right?
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. So
Have you ever received a fake note?
but the thing is, Mira, like we probably have never known that we've had a fake note in our hands. That's the problem, right? If someone went to actually check it, yes, they would find out. But most of the time, people just put a note in and it goes through and it just gets. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't think, and I think what was it, Dana White or it was a comedian? Oh, Dana O'Brien or whatever. He said that he handed over a $20 note or whatever to the person on the counter,
Mhm.
and the lady checked it was fake. They laughed about it, and he uses that joke in his comedy sketches.
I saw that. I saw
Yeah,
that on
right. So it's stuff like
on
this. So
Instagram.
regardless, the police get called over, and the normal protocol is that the police ask um, where the note came from, right? Where the note came from and how they can stop this happening. Um, they didn't do any of that. When they came straight to this call, they saw a
They
black.
went straight and phoned the police on this guy.
Yeah, exactly, right. No, but
So I
what
think that's where.
what I'm trying to say is I think the people on the counter sometimes they can get a bit like that's their job. They're just meant to phone the police. I think. Don't quote me on this, but I'm sure that's the protocol where they're meant to phone the police, right?
Okay.
So the police come and their normal duty is to ask the person where it's from and so on. But in the case of George
Yeah.
Floyd, that didn't happen. There was a straight thing from the officer, right?
Mhm.
Are we going to mention his name?
Yeah. Mention his name.
Yeah, right. So his name was Derek Chauvin, right? Chauvin.
Something like that.
Yeah, so Derek Chauvin. So that was a police officer that came onto the scene, and I don't know if he had something against black people or what. Um, from what I've heard, he had a racial past and stuff like that, stuff he's posted and things like that as well.
And he
Um,
also has a history of um shooting people
yeah, what was that about?
without like cause or anything like that, but it's just previously been brushed off by the police department,
Exactly. So
and
the
that's
police,
happened multiple times.
yeah, so the police get called over, and straight away, Derek, I think he at the time he was like head of like that bit. So he went in, did the first initial questioning and stuff like that. And obviously George Floyd said, "Oh, I don't know where it's from," blah blah blah. And straight away after that, um, the police officer Derek, or I'm calling it Chauvin actually, right? So Chauvin put George Floyd to the ground, or started saying like we're gonna put handcuffs on you, blah blah blah, and he used a bit of force to get him into the car.
Mhm.
Right? There's a video that
Mhm.
circulates around, and
Right.
it was said in the report that George Floyd was resisting, right,
Mhm.
in that moment.
Mhm.
But there's video footage everywhere that he wasn't resisting.
Yeah, he was escorted.
Exactly, right?
You can
But
see it in the video that he just pretty much walks out with the police officer.
yeah, but also I think there was another video with where he's getting pushed into the police car and they're properly
Mm,
like beating him up inside the police car, right? And in that moment where you get beaten up, why would you not resist? Do you know what I mean?
exactly.
Like
Exactly.
like every action has an opposite and equal reaction. Like if someone punches you, you have that initial urge to like being like, why are you punching me? So
Or
I
just defend yourself.
defend yourself. Do you know what I mean? So I completely I get it from his perspective. But after that, they put that in the police report that he was resisting, put him to the ground, and Chauvin um, put his knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Tell me now, how is that humanly, or where is that stated in your policing like training? Do you know what I mean? Like that is
Mm-hmm.
not something that just should happen, first of all. And the other thing that just gets under my skin is the fact that there's three other police officers that stood and watched,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the big thing um, I stand for is holding people accountable, right? And that wasn't done in this case, was it?
No.
Those police officers stood there, just watched. So that was the whole story. And after that video was shared online, social media is very strong nowadays, where things can spread really quickly. I'm not saying everything can spread. It depends on the person and so on and the situation. But this video was spread all over the place. Um, and there was two sides to the story, wasn't it? Like there was some people that were supporting it fully and saying that the police officer should be charged and so on. But there was other people who brought the question up of you haven't seen the other side to this. And straight away, I find that ignorant from people
Mm-hmm.
who say those comments.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, those comments come from people who haven't actually looked at the other side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not think? Those are the comments
Mm-hmm.
that come from that other side who haven't actually looked into the story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then question the people who have actually looked into the other side of maybe you haven't seen the full story and stuff like that. And I just find that so annoying sometimes.
I think the thing is, right, forget looking at what side, right? We're not
Hmm.
talking about taking sides here.
Yeah,
See if you've seen something going about social media,
yeah,
and the thing that everyone saw, whether they saw the full video or not, the thing that everyone saw was a police officer kneeling and putting his full body weight on the neck of a man lying face down.
exactly.
Okay?
Yeah,
Now how is that humane? How is that treating someone like a human and giving them respect? It's not.
yeah,
Right? So how on earth can you justify that action?
yeah. You just can't. You
You
just can't.
can't.
You can't. It's just the video just it properly just like rips your heart apart sometimes just because you see that video and you clearly see George Floyd like crying out for his mother. And the thing is his mother actually died a few years before. And I'm not sure in that moment he probably saw his mum um, while he was um, being like strangled pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the video is absolutely horrible. I definitely recommend people to go see it and actually just feel his emotion in that moment and try and actually like put yourself in that position. I think you start to understand it a bit more. But these this incident was carried out in Minnesota, Minneapolis,
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, Minnesota, United States, right? Um, and the uproar that kind of like blew up a few days later, wasn't it? Or pretty much the next day, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
This went through social media probably for a day or so, and then
Mm-hmm.
the day after that is when
Mm-hmm.
the the cries were pretty much heard, right? Is the fact that like this went over social media and people made their voices heard on um, social media. There's people out protesting as well on the
Yep.
streets of Minneapolis, and these were peaceful protests, right? These started off as peaceful protests
Mm-hmm.
to question the police department of
Yep.
Minneapolis to have these police officers charged
And the
for
thing, yeah,
murder.
and the thing is that like this is not just one incident as well.
Exactly. This
Like
happens.
only a few weeks ago, there was another guy that was shot while he was running through a neighborhood
Mm,
by police officers.
it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. So what happened next was that the police department of Minneapolis sacked these police officers. First of all, fair enough, they get sacked, but that is not justly. That is first of all for their actions that that is an offense. Like they should be getting charged for murder in that case. So
Yeah.
that is what the
The way
pub
anybody else, the way anybody else would have to get taken through court for something like that.
exactly. If that was a normal human being, like just say like people, right? If they were to commit that over a police officer, they would be charged for that because that is murder.
Yeah.
So why should a police officer
Yeah.
not be charged for that same action? Then the police officer got sacked and stuff, and the people weren't happy about that. They demanded for murder charges and so on. These protests went on for a few more days, and maybe a week or so, I think, down the line is when he actually got charged for murder, right? It was third degree
hmm
murder. Um, and let me actually have a look at what the third degree murder. Third,
I think it's considered like accidental.
yeah, it was, wasn't it?
hmm
Okay, third degree murder. There's some confusion over this one. Technically, third degree murder doesn't exist in 47 states. You can only be officially charged with third degree murder in three states: Florida, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania. So, Minnesota is the one George Floyd was killed in. Third degree murder in Minnesota involves killing another person without premeditation and intent through
Okay.
inherently dangerous acts
hmm
and with no regard for human life. So, the main reason that there was so much anger about the third degree murder charge was due to the fact that third degree murder is sometimes categorized in the category of unintentionally, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
In this case, standing like kneeling on someone's neck for 9 minutes
That's
isn't
intentional.
that is very intentional, and that
hmm
should be in the category of second degree murder, where second degree is murder is said to be the in, intentional murder, but impulsive and not planned. The key difference in the mental state someone charged with second-degree murder is impulsively reacts to serious provocation, while still intentional. Second-degree murder lacks the premeditation of first-degree murder. Okay, cool. So I think that is the right charge that he should be given. But anyway, so this whole situation happened, uproar over social media and so on, and a few days later we saw the protests occurring in Minnesota and other other states as well, right? I think if I'm correct, all 50 states in America actually carried out a protest,
Yeah, they
whether it be
did.
whether it being the smaller or large scaled.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think that was just a few days ago when literally all of them
mhm,
were protesting
exactly.
on the same day.
So surely people who see this as, oh, why are these protests happening? Surely there must be something deeper where all 50 states are want to see an action happen. Do you know what I mean? There's something going wrong in the system that there's these people going out and protesting about them, right?
hmm hmm
This isn't just a coincidence. This isn't just a social media trend. There is meaning behind this. This is people's lives. These are people's
hmm
lives being killed.
hmm
Innocent people's lives, by the way.
hmm
And we speak about George Floyd's name, but there's so many other um, black people that have lost their life innocently, right? They haven't done anything wrong.
Yep.
Um, Ahmed Aubrey as well. He was
Yep.
going out for his jog. He got killed.
Yep.
Breonna Taylor,
Yep.
police raided her house um, in the middle of the night. They had a
hmm
no knock warrant, and yeah, they came in, shot her to death. It's proper sad to see. It's proper
Yeah.
sad to see. So we need to remember everyone's all of these names as well, um, and just make it heard, right? Those police officers got away with no murder charges, so it's good that we're speaking about it now. And
Yeah.
it,
And there's, in addition to all of that, there's loads and loads of people who this has happened to whose names we've never heard of,
we've never heard of.
and and it's never been caught on camera either.
Exactly, exactly.
So
So it's there's so much power to social media, and there's some dark stuff on social media that goes around, circulates, but I think there's good that goes around, and especially with our generation, I feel as though there's so many youngsters that make change. Whether it's, whether people say that social media sometimes just, you know what I mean, it's trends and stuff going about, and sometimes it's a bit toxic. I feel as though there's so much good that comes from it as well.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I love what our generation's doing, and I love the impact. And I don't know where I read this. Was it Obama or something? I'm sure he made a speech where He said change comes from young, like young people, right? Martin Luther
Yeah.
King and stuff. He was young when he carried his protest. When I say young, he's about like 20 something, I think 25 or
Yep.
whatever. So there,
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X as well. So it's young people that make change. Um, and it's good to see from our generation that people are standing up for what they believe in and doing good.
Do you know what I think is really sad though? Is the fact that we've had this, like, we've had this in the past, we've had this time and time again. We've
Mm,
had people like Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, like Malcolm X, all the people that you hear about who've stood up for this, who've got people together, who've got people fighting for the same cause. And you think you're getting somewhere. And then, like, you actually realise that the racism is so deep rooted that it hasn't gone anywhere because the system itself has been built that way.
hmm hmm
And that
It's
this just comes up time and time again.
it's so sad to see. It's so sad to see because we raise our children and well, I don't have children. Do we have children?
Did you just ask, wait, do we?
But yeah, a child isn't born racist, are they? Right?
No.
It's it's something we teach or we see as we go through life. And the first thing that you can do when you raise your child is to teach them that color isn't what separates us, right?
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be what we teach our kids. We should teach our kids to respect each and every person on this planet, no matter the color of their skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you start from there, right? If you start from that young age, right? I think that's what can make a change. First of all, right? You don't have to go out and protest if this was the case. You went to a protest in Glasgow today, right? How many people were
Uh-huh.
there roughly?
Couple thousand maybe,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Right. So how did you think that helped? What did you?
Um, I think it showed people in these like minority communities, black people, people of colour, that there's a lot of people who stand with them and who are willing to fight
Yeah.
alongside them to get justice and to get equality. And that it also shows that we're not just willing to sit down and accept the state of things the way that they are, that we do want change.
Yeah.
I think the more people you have, like there's power in numbers, and I think that a lot of the time the way that we lose our power is thinking that we actually don't have any to begin with.
Okay, we've spoken of the protests. Let's speak about some of the riots then. I know it- it's a very few, right? It doesn't happen everywhere. I think that's what the media sometimes shows that these riots take over these protests. Um, but just a scenario to bring up is the riots in London yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how those riots started, right?
Now, I have issues with the fact that riots are even being reported
Yeah. Why?
because they're so few and far between. Like today at the protest that I attended, there was no riots, there was nothing. It was completely peaceful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the one in Edinburgh
Um,
as well. That was quiet
that
as
one
well.
in Edinburgh, so that really
Yeah,
quiet. The thing is that people aren't going out in with the intention of causing riots. They're going out with the intention of trying to bring about change into the statement and to show that we won't be quiet
exactly.
until we get what we all deserve, what
It,
everyone deserves, which is respect, equality, right?
it's a shame. It's a shame to see that a few people, right, a few people make start these riots. I don't know whether
Yeah.
it's whether it's a,
I don't know if it's troublemakers or I
yeah.
don't
Do
know
you know
if
what I
it's
mean?
people that are just getting really. Personally, I don't know. I've like seen the riots and I've
Yeah,
really
but I feel as though these riots
actually been very vindicative enough.
take over everything else. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it takes over the good that's being done
Yeah, and
with
you
these
know, a couple of
protests.
people have said to me like I get that this whole thing with people not, the whole Black Lives Matter thing, like that's important and it's a disgrace what's happening, but aren't the riots a terrible thing as well? This shouldn't be happening.
Mm,
And to be honest, like I don't like I'm not saying it's a good thing to be rioting,
yeah.
right? I'm definitely not saying that. But the thing is that people are just making the assumptions that it's the actual protesters that are the ones that are starting the riots, first of all.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Like,
Okay, and it's
see
not
if
always. Second of all, you are willing to focus on a couple of riots. So say it is people who are part of the protests that are rioting, right? I don't know if it has been, but let's just say for example that it has been.
yeah,
See if you've lived your whole life being oppressed,
yeah,
and everyone, all your ancestors, everyone that's come before you have been oppressed,
hmm
and like who are we to judge when they finally feel like they have a voice?
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not
I
saying it's
know,
the best
I
thing,
know,
but
I know.
we're not in charge of how other people feel.
Feel, man. Like that's such a. We can't tell someone how they should feel or not. Do you know what I mean? Like we haven't been in their position. We haven't gone through what they're going through. And
Yeah, and I saw this post on Facebook, and it said, if people rioting for their rights enrages you more than centuries of slavery, oppression, and systemic racism, then that person that's annoyed at all that is the problem.
I, but yeah, and sometimes like people say you can't just believe everything that you see on social media and stuff. Yeah, I understand you can't believe stuff on social media. I completely understand that you have to read stuff on both sides, right? You have to understand what things that are going on one side and how maybe it can be perceived a different way on another side. So yeah, completely do your research before you just go out and blurt stuff out. Um, Also, secondly, social media is the reason we see so many things going on around the world, right? There's
Hmm.
good in social media as well, like there is. Um, but you can't slander people straight away, being like, "Oh, you saw that on social media. It's a social media trend." This isn't a social media trend. This is people's lives. These are people, these are innocent people who have to deal with these things every single day, right?
Yep.
So have some sympathy on that side. I think people are quite ignorant with some of the comments that they make, and very hurtful to some people who actually have to go through this every single day. This is the simplest way to show you what it looks like when feel the need to stomp on anyone's timeline or story with all lives matter, right? That's one thing that I've got from like not a few people, but people have said that all lives matter. Yes, I understand all lives matter, but
Yeah, but the point we're trying to make is all lives do matter, definitely, but they clearly don't matter right now if we're allowing people to be racist towards a select group of people. Clearly, that shows that all lives don't matter.
exactly, exactly. If they're not supporting one of those races, right? How
Exactly.
where's the equality in all lives matter then?
Exactly.
Racism. So I came into this country when I was in 2004, when I was about 7 years old, and I was in P3. And
Okay.
as soon as I came into this country, um, I was a bit quiet, like I didn't want to speak out too much and stuff like that. And I met a few decent friends, but I also met a few people that were not happy that I was in that class. Do you know what I mean? There was a
Okay.
few people
Mm-hmm.
that made racist comments throughout my whole primary years. Um, but the funny thing is, um, I'm friends with those people now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never. My thing is always to forgive people and see the better side of people, right? So I actually never saw any bad in that person. It was just they weren't educated, and this is the big thing about racism and Black Lives Matter is to educate people about racism, right? Um, and there's been so many stories, right? There was one day me and my mum were walking back from school, and on the way back, there was some kids on bikes, and we were innocently just literally just walking back home. It is simple as that. We were walking back home, and we got a ton of racial abuse from these kids, like the P word and so on, right? And my question always was, what have we done to you? Like, what have we done? And it was comments like, go back to your country and stuff like that. Like, I to this day, I do not understand what that term really means, go back to your country. I can't even go through them, man. I've gone through so much racism throughout my school years. I don't get it nowadays. I have a bit more. a decent friend group around me, and I don't tend to like um and
Entertain people that show any
exactly
of that kind
uh,
of, yeah.
exactly. Um, but yeah, have you ever received racism? So just a background actually. Mira's white slash Pakistani, right?
Yeah.
Your mum's white and your dad's Pakistani,
Yep.
and what would you say your color of your skin is? White, right?
White. I've got white skin. I
Yeah.
get the white privilege.
Okay, so yeah, that's. And have you received any racism from even like the fact that your dad's Pakistani and stuff?
Yeah. That I've received racism from like white people and like Asian people.
Yeah, yeah. It's just not what you want to. And especially this racism occurs, I feel as though a lot when you're a kid, right? And
Yes.
it can properly hurt young adults.
Well, at the time, I didn't really understand it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was actually speaking to my sister about this the other day. Um, like when I first started school, like I genuinely, I don't know if it's the way that like I was raised with like a mixed family. So like I genuinely never ever realized that there was different colors.
Yeah.
My brain just didn't notice that.
Hmm.
And then when I started
And you
school,
shouldn't, right? And you shouldn't at a young age. You shouldn't actually be even thinking about that. There's
yeah,
different colors and stuff like that as well. It's just
yeah,
you're dealing with people. Like, is one person speaking to another
exactly,
person? Yeah, continue.
yeah.
Sorry.
And then I started school, and to be honest, it came about because we were learning about like religion and things like that,
Hmm.
and predominantly where I come from, Muslims. There's a large the Muslim population is predominantly Asian.
Hmm.
So predominantly people with brown skin. So when I said that I was Muslim, um, that caused a
Controversy.
bit of an uproar.
Yeah.
So it kind of came from that, the fact that oh, you've not got, like,
Right.
how can you be this if you've not got this
Yeah.
kind of colour of skin? And then it just kind of stemmed from that. So then it just kind of started from both sides.
Exactly. It's like calm down.
What issue is it that people have with someone else's,
Skin color.
like, the fact that they've got a bit more melanin than someone else?
I think we started off this first
A
podcast.
very heavy topic, I
It's
think.
it's such a heavy topic, and to be honest, we initially intended to start this podcast ages ago, didn't we? Like we intended to
Yeah.
start this like like a few months back, but we've always patched it off, thinking like, ah,
I would say like nearly a year ago.
exactly. What was so we started watching the Shag Married Annoyed podcast. I started watching it initially, and I recommended it to Mira because it was just so funny. Like it's just two well, it's Chris Ramsey
Like
who's
a
who's
married
yeah,
couple.
yeah, Chris Ramsey who's is a comedian, and Rosie Ramsey who's his wife. And they're just a married couple. They
She
speak,
used to be a presenter on, I think, one of the radio stations.
yeah, and they just speak about stuff that's going on in their day, and you guys should definitely check it out. It's just so funny, like some of the stuff they speak about, and like they have questions for the public and stuff like that. So we definitely want to like change it up and make it more interesting. This is definitely a heavy topic that we spoke about first of all, but it's something that needs to be spoken about, right? And I think it was a great time to start so we can like voice our
So we
opinions
have
on
like a
this issue.
catalyst to get it started.
Yeah, and voice this issue that means so much to us, right? That's not just a social media trend, as I said. It's something we properly believe in and want to see a change in.
Hmm.
So please don't get it confused that we're just starting on this for views or whatever. Um, yeah,
Yeah, because that was my worry.
I know,
That,
we spoke about this. We don't want to do it for views. I've never done it for views. I have 17 subscribers on my other channel. I've never done it for views. I just
and
love
about 400 COD videos.
COD videos, exactly. I just love doing, I love making videos. I love entertaining people. I love bringing people together and just people having a good time. So, um, let's keep it lively for the next few podcasts that come up. And yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Do you have anything else to say, Mira? That should be that should be how we finish this podcast. See you later, Mira. Gonna play COD.
Then what do I say?
I don't know what you say. I'm just gonna go play COD. I've already turned it on
Are you
actually.
actually? Are you actually about to play God?
Mate, I'm away. I've promised Brez that I'll be on COD at 10:30.
So we've got 10 minutes to talk then.
Oh, for fuck no! I need to get the game loaded up, and I need to
That's fine. You can load it while you talk to me.
I need to warm my fingers up.
I haven't talked to you in like 3 days.
What?
Yeah.
We clearly spoke the other day, mate.
No, I don't think we did.
Oh my god, guys, this is the continuation from the next
See, guys,
podcast.
this is exactly what happens. They just focus on their stupid PS4 video games.
Oh, but yeah. Do you not like my little image that I've created? To be honest, I just
Um,
nah.
I
It's
feel like you nabbed it from somewhere. I feel like I've seen it before. I think a wee bit of plagiarism, a wee bit
I,
of copyright infringement is
I actually
going on
have.
here.
I have. We definitely need to improve this. So any designers out there who
Oh
actually
shit!
who can do a design for us, that would be greatly appreciated. We definitely need to improve this. We might need a photo shoot actually once this coronavirus stuff goes
A
away.
photo shoot.
Yeah, like Shag and Married Annoyed, they have a nice little background with both of them on a sofa.
Just
That'd be
Photoshop us on the sofa.
good. Hopefully it turns out like the quality's good and stuff. I might have to tweak some stuff. I'm using my headset right now. Nothing major, and you're using your
Yeah.
phone. So
I'm using like some quite like thingy
no,
technology.
you're not using
But
your phone.
it's not been released to anyone at the moment because I'm just giving it a wee
So
test drive.
imagine looking back at this when we've like done our 100th podcast. Jesus Christ, no, actually.
Well, can I? Okay, let's just take it day by day. We've done our 100th podcast.
Oh,
Do you know what I find really funny about this is that we talk as though we've got like hundreds of viewers. Like, yeah, leave a comment, let us know what you want us to talk about.
mate, this is going on my Instagram first of all, so we will have listeners.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, I'm gonna make another YouTube channel actually for this. This is gonna
How
be
are you?
called Miles Apart Podcast,
Okay.
and I'm just gonna link that channel now,
Right.
and I'll link it to
So
my
do I
other.
get? So you know how like I'm already on your YouTube channel,
You're actually not getting
but I'm
any,
not.
so
But I'm not getting the revenue
you're
for it.
not getting
So do I
any
get the
revenue.
password for this other YouTube channel? Like, you know
No,
what goes on here?
no.
Right, guys. Next discussion we'll have is about the prejudices. Um,
Of a partnership in
no,
podcasting.
no, we're talking about the feminist movement
Once
and
once you
inequality
once
between male and
once
females.
I mean, once you can actually get sponsors on this podcast. Until then, this podcast
Right.
is 100%
Okay, I
me.
actually forgot. Got a little bit surprised for everyone.
No,
So
you
our
don't.
first lucrative
You don't.
sponsor
You don't have a
is
sponsor. You don't have a
they're paying good
sponsor.
money for this. Can you give them the airtime, please?
You don't.
Is
You don't have a sponsor.
is
You're not Chris.
pillows. Need to sleep? Pillows. I feel like I'm Chris Ramsey right now.
You actually do. You do. Oh,
Hey, got a sore head? Not drank enough? Need to take a paracetamol? And it won't go away? Go to bed and use your
pillows.
pillow. Literally what I had to do about 2 hours earlier.
Oh, mate, I actually changed my covers today. I can't wait to go into bed. Oh, it's gonna smell so much nicer. My mum actually walks into my
It's gonna smell so much nicer. You heard it here first. He's a stinky bastard.
my mum walked into my room this morning and she just goes,
And she was like,
she,
"What the
no,
hell is this smell?"
no, dead ass. She just goes, it stinks in here. It absolutely
Oh my god.
stinks in here. It smells of feet. And she goes, do you smell?
Well,
Do you
let's
listen, listen,
just have
listen,
a little
listen,
conversation because
listen? No,
you're
no, no,
happy
listen,
admitting
listen.
to very sweaty feet
Yes, I
recently.
have, but listen. Like she went, can you smell that? And I went, no, like literally, I cannot smell. I
But
can't
it's
smell it.
cause it's your own smell. You cannot smell
Oh,
your own smell.
imagine like some of those people out there that just reek, but they can't smell it. That's a shame. That's really a shame. I'm one of them.
Honestly, I was about to say I've been waiting to tell
Oh, but you do smell like curry from your armpits though, so let's not go there.
you. Right, that's enough. Right, that's racist. That does not need to be on the podcast. Right, I'm really offended right now. You better edit this out.
Let's not get edited,
You
right?
better edit
We
this
are
out. That's not
100%
funny.
raw. We're 100% raw for this podcast.
I'm really. Oh my. Please, can you edit that out, please?
No. But yeah, anyway, so she walked in, said my room stinks. So now I've got fresh sheets. And the room probably still stinks, but I've got fresh sheets.
To be honest, I don't think it's your sheets that's the problem.
It's my feet. They're so
It's you.
sweaty. It's so sweaty. I don't know if
I
if
can't
someone out
relate.
there, if someone out there can recommend me something for my feet to not sweat, I would probably appreciate it.
Wash them.
I do wash them every single day. They just get so
And now that brings us
sweaty.
on to our next lucrative sponsor,
Ugh,
everyone.
so many sponsors, but no money.
Shower gel. Got sweaty feet? Shower gel.
No, I just use soap.
Got smelly armpits?
You need some.
Shut up.
But yeah,
That's not true.
do you know what it is? Actually, I've been running. I've been running quite a lot recently. For this past week, I've actually been eating healthy. I've been running.
So you're so
So my
so
feet
because
stink.
you've been eating healthy.
No, 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 no. Listen, listen,
So
listen. I've been running about 13K. Not 13K, 11K actually. 11K, man. Give me a break. My feet stink. But guess what? I'm gonna have abs in like a few days' time.
okay. Anyways,
A few days. Shit, where did these come from? Okay. Anyway, babe,
you wish, pal.
I'm gonna go play some COD. Fuck you, man.
Okay,
Alright,
let's go.
bye.
Oh, okay.
Okay. See you later. Love you.
Bye.
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 Wait. We need to say love you. You need to say love me. Love me back. Love you. Oh, she went. Oh, she left. Oh no, she left the Discord. I'm just by myself. All right, guys. Bye.